Everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSI DFS Fantasy NASCAR Picks. I'm your Smegaroor 31. Quite the Xfinity race today. I didn't expect to see a big one with a red flag and holy carnage at the end. And wow, how long is Sheldon Creed going to make it at RCR if he keeps on wrecking Austin Hill and ruining their chances to advance in playoffs? It's just amazing. And thank you, Danielle. Hopefully you watch this video. You watch the Xfinity one. You made my night with a comment about Joe Graff Jr. Everybody's like, why are you always so down on him? And the dude, 5 laps in, like spins out. It's just remarkable how bad he is as a driver. But got the Cup race coming up here. I believe there's 500 laps. So this should be another exciting one too. Cutoff race ready to go to Phoenix next week with the final. Yep, 500 laps. The Xfinity 500, which that's messed me up. I was looking with it's called Xfinity. It's not the Xfinity series, so it's the company that's sponsoring it. So, anyways, another week where we had 2 practice sessions, and there you can't use the data really because the first group went out, the track was completely, there's nothing laid, no rubber laid down on it, so they went out there and they had like really quick speeds, but as the rubber came off their tires, their speeds quickly diminished and they had a huge fall off. The second group goes out there and has a nice layer of rubber down, so their tires don't fall off as fast, but they can't achieve the speeds that Group A did initially. So you're, comparing like apples to potatoes here. So can't really look at that. But track style average, can look at that. And I think that's going to be kind of my determining factor for this week. And you can look back at like last Martinsville. I looked back at Martinsville. I looked back at the short flat track. So Martinsville, New Hampshire, Phoenix, and tracks like that are the ones that we're looking at for context here. And I think that we got a pretty good sample size with this car with a couple years here and everything. So let's just get to the breakdown. So we have 8 drivers still that are competing for the final 4. Larson and Bell have wins, so they are locked in. William Byron is far enough ahead that he would need something very catastrophic. He'd have to wreck out very, very early, which is possible, but I think he's got enough to point himself in. Probably after the first stage, he should be, or he could use the first stage to seeing how everybody else is to try to gain track position and not worry about, and then get the final points that he needs to lock things in the second, and then be able to stay out and be able to hopefully do well and win the race. Although he has, these types of tracks aren't great for him, but we'll get that when we get to the breakdown. The guys in yellow are ones that are going to definitely need some points to get in. They're all over the place, depending on how each driver does, can lead to like, I think most of them will be chasing points, but if it looks by the second stage that they're not going to be able to point their way into the 1 position, especially if Byron looks like he's in a great position, then they're going to turn red and have to absolutely go for the win, which makes things interesting. Chris Buescher's already there. He's so far behind after having such a good season. He had a real hot streak there, and towards the end of the regular season, just has had some bad breaks in the last couple rounds of the playoffs. So he's in danger of not making it. So we'll see how this plays out. So Truex has the pole. And I think he's going to be a prime play and a chalk play here. Pretty high owned. Smith had the pole in Xfinity, went out there and pretty much dominated the race. It was hard to pass him. The other thing about this is being such a short track, the leaders in the clean air catch up to the back of the field so fast that I really don't want to play too many people in the 30s, because if they can't move up a little bit, like I said, it's hard to pass, they're going to get started to go laps down. And even though there's probably going to be calamity in 500 laps and a lot of cautions, a lot of attrition, it's going to be hard to get some laps back. So I'm really looking at this kind of as a reverse late track. or super speedway track, where I kind of want to look at some places referential, but I'm really prioritizing like finishing position and how well people do on these types of tracks to be able to build my lineup. So Truex, I think I'm definitely liking cash. I think he'll be up there. And even if he does need to start playing the point game, I think it's fine because I think he'll get enough dominator points early on in fastest laps, potentially if he's out there like leading, that he will be able to pay off his price tag. Ty Gibbs has had a good season as a rookie. He's really starting to mature as a driver, and I think his first one's coming sometime next year. I don't think he's going to win the next 2 races. Looked good up here in practice and qualifying, but overall track style 15th. It's a tough track for a driver that doesn't have a ton of experience here in this car. So I think he's going to go backwards. He's too risky to play on DK. So he's a fade. FanDuel, maybe he gets up there and maybe he leads some laps and maybe he surprises us. So I think you can play him there in tournaments. I'm not sure about playing him in cash. Chase Briscoe looked really good out there. It was really fast in practice and qualifying. This Stewart-Haas program came to play here. They have this track figured out, it seems. All of their cars looked good. And for GPP, it might not be bad just to play all 4 of them. And then whoever else, works in your lineup, throw them in. Chase Briscoe, I think, is definitely one that you can play up here. And I love the savings that you have at 73. And again, I always said like Chase Briscoe on these tracks because he knows how to shift the car. He's always been good at that. It started back in, I think it was his rookie year or his second year when they first ran in the Coliseum. He did so well in that race. He got taken out by Kyle Larson, I think, because Larson was trying to pass him and he just was holding his in. And I think just Larson just booted him finally. But Briscoe's always been good at these like short tracks where shifting comes into play. So I really like him there. Denny Hamlin, I think you play in cash. He's quite expensive. He's another one that's been always good on these types of tracks. 4th overall composite. So definitely no complaints there. Kyle Larson playing with house money can just go for the win here. Points don't matter at all to him. Like it doesn't matter going into the next round. Points, how they finish in Phoenix is how they finish the championship season. Points don't matter after this point. So he's already locked in, can definitely go for the win. I think he'll be highly could be a dominator here. Does well on these tracks and could be highly owned. Bubba Wallace, I think medium here. Good season for him. Definitely making some progress in the right direction. But I don't think that he grew up racing on these types of tracks, so very comfortable on these tracks. Kind of likes them. So I think this is definitely somebody you can play in a tournament, but I don't like in cash. Christopher Bell, wow, he didn't get the pole this week. Shocking. He's just had like so many like great like starts to races and just hadn't finished them. I don't know. 9th here, just too many mistakes and everything. He's locked into, so again, he's playing for house money. Could he get up there? Phoenix is kind of a comparable track, so maybe they'll be trying to figure out some stuff for the championship instead of trying to win the race. I just don't know. Just too mistake prone on his crew and everything, and I just don't trust him in cash with GPP. Kevin Harvick, I'm going to give him the prime here. Again, I said these Stewart-Haas cars looked great. He had one of the most dominant cars. He probably should have won the spring race here, but just had some unfortunate events at the end, which just seems like the story of the season. He's been so close to winning that final race. And just had some like factors. And I think he can definitely get out there and potentially dominate. Like he's got a great price tag at 83. And I am a glutton for narratives, and I do have the underlying theory that sometimes sports are not fixed, but they make conditions for great stories to happen. Like Cal Ripken Jr. hitting a home run in his final All-Star game. Like the dude threw him like a cookie right down the middle of the plate, even though everybody denies it. Just like things like that. So, like, I know it didn't happen for Jimmy Johnson. I know it like hasn't happened for others, and Harvick probably is not going to win the next two races, but this could be a possibility. I think he's going to have a great race. I like how his car looked. I like everything that they've done to try to get him there. So I think that he's definitely, and none of these cars are still in the championship. So I think they can put all the eggs into Harvick's basket here, um, to try to push him, give him the best shot to try to win one of these next two races. So really like him there. Priest is a little scary this high up. Like I said, I'm a GPP, almost a borderline fade for like the 22nd, starting ninth here. This is everything screams like it's going to be falling backwards. But like I said, these Stewart-Haas cars look really, really good. He is probably the least proficient driver on these types of tracks. So if you want to leave one out of the four, that's fine. But if you want to go all four, I get it. But he's a GPP more for me. Brad Keselowski is a GPP. Like, he was good in this track, hasn't been good as good. I'm Martinsville in the newer car. Didn't practice much. I don't know if because the car was all dialed in, he was all ready to go, or if like Busher was struggling with speed so much, if he was trying to help out, because her owner was like trying to give him tips to try to get that car figured out, set up, or if they had issues. I'm not sure, but GPP for me here. Blaney, number 2 overall in composite on these types of tracks. He does so well here. And he might not qualify well. He might not have great practice speed, but always has great long run speed and always figures it out and makes the passes, the hard passes when he has to, and just seems just to continue to like rise up. And all the Penske cars look good here. So definitely have some interest in him. I think he'll be highly owned. Also, but definitely like Blaney here. Almirola, again, another Stewart-Haas car, another guy who's really good on the short flat tracks. New Hampshire is one that he's always done well on. So I think, and 13th is his place here. Like, so he should finish in the top 15, I think. And I think at 7,400, definitely like him in cash. Ross Chastain, I don't think we're going to see another miracle video game move like we did last year. GPP, 20th overall, kind of struggled at all these types of tracks. So I think he's just going to fall. Chase Elliott, I think people are still going to chase like the upside. He was one of his first races back, I believe, when he came back in the spring in the Martinsville race. So kind of don't want to really look at that. But he's 6th overall in the track style and in ranking among these drivers. I still think he's a GPP, but I do think he'll have some ownership in cash just because he's Chase Elliott and people know that he has been good at these races. Just hasn't been good this season. I think they're kind of like mailed it in or looking towards next season. But I think a lot of the resources from the team too have gone to Larson and Byron to try to win a championship. So Chase is in play here, but he's GPP, not a cash play for me. Joey Logano, he's had such a miserable season, but he's always been good at this track. He's been good on these types of tracks. In fact, he comes back as number 1 ranked driver on these short flat tracks. So, and he looked good in practice, didn't qualify as good, but I think he should be able to cut across the field. He should be able to get up there. They don't need to go out for stage points, so he could pit early to get track position after stage 1, and he might be able to be one of the ones to go up there and to be able to dominate this race and lead a lot of laps. And he has dominated Martinsville before. So definitely going to be playing some of him in cash. Byron, GPP, like I said earlier, he's probably going to be very chalky. People are going to like the place differential, and people are going to like the fact that he's kind of locked in and can probably, but out of these short flat tracks, like he's 11th composite. He had one that he was like did really well in, but the rest of them he was like in like the teens to high 20s. Just not seems not they don't seem to be his forte. So I don't know if I'm gonna have any exposure to him, to be honest. I don't know how he's going to run the race or try to race this race. I think it might just be conservative race not to lose his position in the final four versus to try to do well. So with that conservative viewpoint at 11.25 or 11,200, I just can't do it in cash. So GPP if you want to. I don't know if I'm going to have any exposure. Todd Gilliland is usually really good on these races tracks. Even though he's got a 31 composite average, there's just some bad luck in there with that. But 59, he's starting a little too far forward. I almost put the fade tag on him. But I think that, again, I don't want guys that are starting in the 30s, and that's where he usually starts. So I think even if he drops down into the 20s at 5,900, losing a few place differential points, I think he'll still be able to finish, even if he loses 5 spots and finish 22. That's that gives you 20 DK points. I mean, that's decent day for Todd Gilliland at 5,900. I'll take that. Chris Buescher, like I said before, struggling with speed and practice. Just his average is 19th place driver here if you look at everything, and that's about where he's starting. So I don't see a ton of upside here. I think he's a GPP, even though he's probably the most desperate driver in the field. We'll have to see how that plays out. Tyler Reddick, I think, is a good cash play here. I think I've seen some progression in him in these types of tracks. Like he was worse last year and early this year, but he's getting better. So I think you can play him in cash. I think, again, he starting 19th can't really, if there's only one spot open on points and Truex and Hamlin are that far up with Blaney also ahead of him, he's going to need to make some moves and maybe turn more to red than a yellow like Buescher is and be like a little bit more desperate. And I think he's got the talent and the speed to do better than Buescher. So I think he can definitely make some ground. Stenhouse has gotten better on these tracks also. I think he'll be highly around to 6,100 here. Starting a little bit too far forward for cash, so GPP. Austin Cindric as a fade, unless you want to do a Penske. With the other two are really good if you think that he's going to be able to, but I just think he's sophomore slump, needs to figure some things out in the off season. If he wants to come back and be like competitive on this team. Alex Bowman, I like him at this track, 16th, starting 22nd, 7,500, should be able to move up, make some passes. He's going to be a prime play for me. So, and the prime plays aren't too bad. I got 110K guy and an 8 and a 7,500 guy. So you can go up and pay up for another guy and go with some of the value guys, or you can finish up would be balanced. Mike McDowell, GPP here, maybe borderline cash. I think he should finish around where he starts. He's not in the danger zone of getting lapped early. Decent road racer, and that sometimes those principles transfer over on these short flat tracks. So with braking and sharp corners and stuff. So I think he'll be good. Haley is going to be a fade for me. I think 33rd average. I think he's just going to fall downwards. Allmendinger, same principle as McDowell, good road course driver. I think that 21st overall. I think that he has an opportunity to do well here. Austin Dillon, I think you can play him in cash here, 17th. Should be able to. He's just above the danger zone of being lapped early, so I think he can get up there. Daniel Suarez has looked good on these tracks. I think he'll be highly owned also, and I think the 6K range is going to be important in your builds, and it gives you Stenhouse, McDowell, Allmendinger, Dillon, and Suarez have a little bit more floor from their starting position, and Eric Jones I'm just going to write off just because he's been like really slow. So I think they're definitely ones that you can look at in the 6K range. Harrison Burton, I usually fade him. He's usually my Geograph Jr. of Cup Series. Sorry, it's getting late. I'm trying to focus here. So Harrison Burton, he's been decent on these types of tracks. So I think you can play him in GPP. And again, he's just above that 30th. He should be able to stay ahead just enough not to lose laps like right away. Eric Jones, I do think will fall backwards. Corey LaJoie has been good. He's right on the cusp of the danger zone. I think he'll be able to move forward and be a decent cash play. Kyle Busch did not qualify well. He is usually really good at this track, 7th overall composite. And again, he's starting to be in the danger zone, but if he can stay ahead of the leaders and make his way up, then I think that he definitely can have a solid day. I mean, 9K is a tough price tag, but if he does get a ton of place differential, and it works out, so I have him as cash. I don't have him as a prime play. I think some people might label him as a prime play because they look at Kyle Busch like, oh wow, this is a great driver starting this far back. Sometimes there's a reason for that, but again, I think you run the danger of him losing laps if it goes green early on. But if not, then I think he could be a really good play. Carson Hocevar, I really love. Always have him as a cash play, but he just doesn't have any experience here. Actually ranks dead last in composite if I look at stuff. So I think that he's just going to. It's a good race for him to go out there and try to learn this track and this car for next year. But it's not something where he's going to be able to do well in this race. Ryan Newman has a ton of experience, but this car, I just don't trust the tech on it. I mean, he might be able to play him in a GPP here. There was one build that I had to use him. Didn't want to, but I didn't have enough to get up to LaJoy. I was like $200 or $300 short. I think it was like $100 to $200 short. So I did end up playing Newman in one of my lines, but I don't know. Maybe I'll change it in the morning if I figure something else out. Ty Dillon, Yaley, McLeod. Again, I think they're just going to lose multiple lap after multiple lap after multiple lap. Not interested. So that's pretty much what I have for you. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat below. Hit me up at MegaRoar30 on Twitter/X. And if these videos have helped you through the course of the year, please help us back. Like the video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with your friends, especially next season when we come around again. We've grown so much this year and just want to continue to grow some more next year. So just appreciate you watching and your help and everything, and really enjoyed making them, and hopefully they've helped you win some money. Also, it's been a pretty profitable year for me also too. And if you want more information on the FSI DFS, see all the cool things that we're doing. We've got NHL going on. We've got NFL going on. We've got PGA going on still during swing season. We have NBA starting up too. So Major League Baseball is wrapping up. Just lots of cool things. So just great reason to subscribe to our channel. If you want more information, getting into the Discord is free to see. Time to time we offer free entrance into the premium room. So if you're in the Discord, you'll be able to see those coupons, be able to use them. And if you go into the description of the video, that's how you get into our Discord or into our website. So, and if you want to check back on Twitter, I think it was back on Tuesday, we posted a free code for a free, I think it was a couple week or two of NBA or half price off of a month. So take advantage of that if you want to get in for that. So thanks for watching. Good luck in your contest. Hope it ends your weekend well, and I'll see you next week for the championships.